welcoming all our viewers joining us here live at the Terrace Restaurant of the Intercontinental Hotel. Now, for all of you who think that Kenya is all about doom and gloom and it's on fire and it's a failed state, listen up and listen carefully. Even spread the word if you can, because starting next week, Monday, the 23rd of June, all the way through to Friday, the United Nations in Gigiri gets transformed and, yes, upgraded to a United Nations General Assembly. What does that mean? Well, all 193 member states of the UN will be gathered in Gigiri. We're talking thousands of delegates. We're talking United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. We're talking huge boost to the economy, if you will. And yes, this is what Kenya is going to be from next week. It will become a United Nations world global headquarters, just like New York and Geneva and Vienna. Kenya, imagine that. Here to talk about it, sitting right next to me, is the Director General of the United Nations Office in Nairobi, otherwise known as UNON, Sally Work-Geude. And right next to her is the Executive Director of United Nations Environment Program. That's probably what most of you know about UNEP in Gigiri, Akim Steiner. Welcome to the show, both of you. By the way, my Twitter handle is @Koinange, the hashtag JKL. Send us your thoughts, comments, questions right here as we talk about what's going on. So, Akim, let me start with you. What does this mean? I mean, Kenya, United Nations General Assembly coming to Gigiri. What does it mean?
Well, in some ways, it's the birth of a new assembly right here in Nairobi after 42 years of having UNEP convene a governing council in which only 58 governments used to oversee the work of UNEP. 2 years ago at the Rio summit in Brazil, heads of state and government decided the time had come to strengthen and upgrade UNEP. And so this year we have a world premiere, the first meeting of the United Nations Environment Assembly. And as you said, all member states of the General Assembly will now be represented here, and the world has a new platform to address the issues of environment and sustainable development in the heart of this city.
And from then on, it's going to be known as UNEA, as you call it, United Nations Environment Assembly.
Indeed. UNEA is the name, the abbreviation for it. The notion of an assembly is also a very unique one. In the United Nations, we have a General Assembly, and otherwise there is no other program within the Secretariat that actually has this universal membership. And so, in many ways, it's another premiere that we are celebrating in the context of the United Nations Environment Program's history.
Wow, fantastic. So, Sally, we're talking about 1,300 registered delegates so far. I mean, that's a huge number. Gigiri will be a nightmare to go through next week, but that's another story. A lot of concerned people out there, especially in light of what's been happening the last couple of days. Security is paramount, is key. What can you tell us about it? What can you guarantee throughout next week and beyond?
You know, security is a concern to all of us. It's a challenge, but not only for Kenya. You know, we have this kind of a problem elsewhere in the world. Here, we have had some issues, some challenges that we are trying to face. But let me tell you this, on security issues, we work very closely with the government of Kenya, as it has been before and still now. We're continuing in that direction to see what are the challenges, what are the measures that we can take to mitigate. This is what we have been doing. We have had recent meetings, the guarantees have been given, so I think we're on the right direction. Yeah. I don't think we need to fear.
If you have delegates watching you right now from, let's say, Chile or from South Korea, or, you know, from everywhere in the world, who have been watching the images on TV the last couple of days, what do you tell them? How do you guarantee they'll be all right next week?
Well, what I can say is that the government of Kenya has taken all necessary measures to make this assembly, you know, be held in a secured atmosphere. So this is what we know, this is what we have seen. We have gone through all the measures, and we can guarantee, I think, that, you know, the meeting will go well.
Yeah. Akim, the last few days and the last few weeks and months, Kenya portrayed in every newspaper, in every headline, it's all about doom and gloom. This is a big deal, isn't it?
Absolutely, because I think, first of all, people will realize that despite some of the challenges that you are talking about, this nation is alive. this economy is moving, and every day in this city there are thousands of tourists, there are thousands of events that are happening. And I think it is part of our reality today, sadly in some ways, that the singular image of a few seconds of something happening becomes the same as an entire nation.